This training video will cover the configuration of the performance evaluation module within the iSite contract management portal. Please note that it is required that your contract and task roles are already configured before configuring the performance evaluation module. To access the configuration options for performance evaluation, navigate to Admin Settings. Then choose Performance Evaluation Module Settings. If you do not have access to the settings options, please contact a system administrator. Let's start with the module settings themselves. You'll find that the performance evaluation module settings are very easy to configure. For the responsible task role for responding to surveys, simply select one of the defined task roles in the list. During performance, the user or users assigned to this role for each task will be responsible for responding to performance evaluation surveys. For the next option, if you'd like to give your survey respondents the ability to review answers to a question asked on previous surveys, set this option to yes. Now let's configure the email settings. You have the option for automated reminder emails to be sent to survey respondents 48 hours and 24 hours prior to the end of a survey. These reminders will only be sent to survey respondents who have not completed their surveys. Those who have completed their surveys will not be notified. To enable these reminders, set the Enable Reminders option to yes, and then provide the content of each email type. Each email will already contain information about the survey dates, the period of performance being measured, and the task information. You are simply providing any additional instructions. When finished, click the Update Settings button at the bottom of the page. Next, let's configure the survey schedule. The survey schedule is your master list of surveys that you want your team to fill out during contract performance. Listed will be any surveys already configured for the contract. If a survey is currently active, that survey will be highlighted in green. To delete survey schedules, click one or more of the checkboxes and then click the Delete Survey Schedules button. If a survey already has completed responses, the survey will not be available for selection. To edit a survey that is already defined, simply click on the survey title. From there, you can change any of the properties of the survey schedule as you see fit. After doing so, click the Save Survey Schedule button when complete. To add a new survey schedule, click the Add New Survey Schedule button in the toolbar. Fill out the survey schedule properties accordingly. The title will be the name of the survey that users will see via email, inbox, and otherwise. The launch date is the date the survey period opens. This will also be the trigger date for automated notifications sent out to the task role that you configured in the module settings area. The due date will be the trigger date used for the 48-hour and 24-hour notification emails for survey respondents that have not yet completed their surveys. For the period of performance settings, choose the period of performance that the survey is measuring. iSite will require these dates to be prior to the launch date that you specify. When finished, click the Save Survey Schedule button at the bottom of the page. Next, let's configure survey questions. Survey questions is your master list of questions that can be included on surveys for respondents to answer. Listed will be any survey questions already configured for the contract. To delete questions, click click one or more of the checkboxes and then click the Delete Questions button. If a question already has been answered within a survey, the question will not be available for selection. To add a new question, click the Add New Question button in the toolbar. Then, fill out the question properties accordingly. For the question itself, please note that questions are limited to 512 characters. If you'd like to provide some guidance on how the user should respond to the question, you can optionally fill in the response criteria section. You may also specify whether comment entry is enabled for the question. Comments can be optional, required, or none. If comment entry is set to optional, you can also provide default text to display for the comment. Lastly, you can mark the question as active or inactive. When a survey is launched, only active questions will be considered for surveys. On the Response Definition tab, you will configure the response that a user can provide for the question. When creating a new question, the data type will default to choice. However, you can select any of the displayed data types to control what the user will see as a response option when completing the question. When you select a data type, you'll also need to provide the relevant settings for that data type. In this instance, for the choice data type, I need to fill in the available choices as well as a default selected value. Lastly, I can specify which tasks this question should be assigned to for a survey. By default, the question will be asked for all tasks. However, you can also limit the tasks that the question is asked for. Once you are finished defining the question, click the Save Survey Question button to finish, or click Save and Add Another to continue adding more questions. Lastly, you may also manage the display order for questions that will appear on surveys. Simply click the Manage Display Order button on the toolbar. All of the questions that are defined in the system will be displayed here. You can set the display order by changing the drop-down boxes on the right-hand column. For instance, if I wanted to move this question from spot 6 to spot 1, I just simply select spot 1 and everything else will be renumbered for me. Once I'm finished, click the Save Display Order button. Next, let's talk about the permissions needed for users to work with the Performance Evaluation module. Navigate to Admin, Security, and then Manage Security Groups. If you do not have access to the security options, please contact a system administrator. The 3 permissions that you will need to delegate are as follows: Performance Evaluation Administration, Manage Performance Evaluations, and View Performance Evaluations. The Performance Evaluation Administrator will have access to all performance evaluation functionality, such as unlocking responses, sending email reminders to responders, viewing surveys for all tasks, and viewing performance notes for any task the user has access to. When a user has the Manage Performance Evaluations permission, they will be able to respond to surveys. Without this permission, if a user is assigned a survey, they will not be able to respond to it. This permission also grants the ability to view surveys for any task that the user belongs to, regardless if they actually filled out the survey. Lastly, this permission gives the user access to the Performance Evaluation tab in Task Management to be able to view surveys and enter performance notes. When a user has the View Performance Evaluations permission, users will only be able to view surveys for tasks they are assigned to. They'll also have read-only access to the Performance Evaluation tab in Task Management to be able to view surveys and performance notes. Questions, suggestions, thoughts, or concerns? Email us at feedback@isitellc.com.